So I thought I'd share the latest adventures I've been having with cleaning water, filtering. There, you can see the pool back there, and I've been spending the last week or so designing and coming up with a filtration system for that one, using a standard pool filter with those fabric balls inside of it, which catches the fine particles of algae, and then it runs through a UV filter. And then I've created a connection out to the hot water evacuated tube panels, which I'll hook in hopefully soon. And so that system's working really well, but as I'm doing that, I'm noticing this disgusting stink coming from the water that I'm watering the trees with. And you know, I should be overwhelmed with the smell of orange blossoms right now, but there was just this edge of rotting algae that was coming through, and then I thought, God, what's happening? I'm not paying attention like normal, maybe because of COVID that we're all dealing with right now. So anyhow, here we are outside at the pools. This pool here is the pool that receives water from the pool that it comes off the roof here. Sorry, I didn't explain that well. The water comes off the gutters into this pool here. I call this one my receiving pool. And then there's a pump that I just have that goes into this tank, and I top this one regularly and filter the water from the first tank. And then that's my plumbing system that goes into the greenhouse from here. So my standard way of handling rainwater to keep it fresh and clean is to have the water covered with a bubble plastic, and then black-white panda plastic with the white side up, and then on top of that a leaf guard. So that's really helped me to keep water clean for over 25 years, I guess, of rainwater collection. That pool there is one that's full and beautiful, crystal clean underneath. But this one here is somewhat compromised because, and you can't see because I'm not sharing what god-awful mess I uncovered on Sunday, that's 2 days ago. This pool here, I thought I had put the black-white plastic on top, but I forgot, and the algae bloom was so intense here that it just sat on top of the leaf guard and just putrefied, and I didn't even notice that the black-white wasn't on. And so I had to look underneath because I couldn't understand why my water was so stinky. And the thing was just like a gelatinous material, just algae, loaded with algae. So I thought, okay, I'll use the hydrogen peroxide. I dumped a couple of gallons in here, and then I waited, and after about 4 hours, all of these clusters of algae just started floating to the surface. And then I spent hours collecting that stuff with my trusty pool net. And I was collecting this stuff because I figured I could use it as fertilizer too. So I put some in the drum here, which I emptied out and poured around. Here's what I was also dumping it in and filtering and actually cleaning my net off in those Rubbermaid tubs. So I spent quite a while getting these delicious clumps of algae out of here. Here's still some in here, which you can kind of see. So now 2 days later, I'm to this opaque, probably loaded with very fine particles of dead algae, but it's at about 100 parts per million of hydrogen peroxide, which I'm just monitoring that, and then I will screen it probably one more time, and then I will cover it with the bubble plastic, and then the black-white plastic, and then the leaf guard, and then I will top up this other tank here, which has some algae problems but not as bad because it's covered with the black-white plastic, and I will pull the lid off that, clean it, and I will get the peroxide to about 100 parts per million, and then leave that. So then I'll be back to having all great, good water for the plants that doesn't smell and won't interfere with the fabulous smell I have from all the citrus blossoms.